but we have been working in Japan for nearly the last 30 years, and Rob primarily with Japanese pastors, since he went in 1979. But since leaving Japan 6 years ago, God has really been opening up new doors of opportunity even wider than Japan. While we were in Japan all those years, while we were working with national leadership, one of the things that we noticed in living in the missionary community was often patterns of missionary attrition that really broke our hearts. And we would see missionaries come over, learn the language, learn the culture, begin to really gain the trust of Japanese pastors and people. And often there would be patterns of, at times, often at 8-year periods, 12-year periods, 17-year periods, where we would see Satan come in and really begin to undermine leaders at these critical points in their development and in their effectiveness as leaders. Each year, 5% of the missionary force worldwide goes home. And of that 5%, 70% of that is preventable attrition. Things like just losing vision, losing heart, moral issues, just getting discouraged because, like in Japan, the work was very hard and often there wasn't a lot of fruit. We have teamed together with a dear friend of ours, Barry Potter, with OMF, another missionary from Japan who's been there for about 30 years and who has a similar heart. And we've been working now in Cambodia for the last 3 years. It's been an amazing experience to really work with unbelievably talented, godly, sacrificial leaders in Cambodia who are really rebuilding the church out of genocide. And what it takes for that kind of a task is really daunting. And we can see how exhausting that is and the toll it takes on mission leaders to really stay the long term. And so we've been building networks of missionary leaders. They're inviting people from lots of organizations to come together and to form learning networks, learning communities. So when we go, we'll often have 2 days of retreat together, and we will provide content for them to learn about things like vision and values and how do you make successful transitions and how does God teach us deep lessons and develop us as leaders during those times. But what God really does is to really build those stronger bonds among missionary leaders and really build that accountability and support that they often don't give themselves permission to do when they're on their own. We've been doing that for 3 years now, and we've had about 78 key missionary leaders in our first 3 networks, and they've been from over 24 missionary organizations and denominations and from 14 different countries on 6 continents. And so we've also been asked to come to Japan. It's been fun to go home again and to begin doing the same kind of networks with missionary leaders in Japan who have been there long term and who are really at critical stages of growth and development in their missionary leadership.
But does that mean that we have stopped having a heart for a vision for national leadership? And that's definitely a no. That of anything, this is expanding that even more so. And so for me, along with working with Gene and Barry, with the missionaries that are there, and helping to raise up from those who are already there, the leaders that are taking over for us. So it's our hope that after 3 years, pretty much all of the facilitation, either up front or the small group facilitation, will be done by leaders who are living in Cambodia. And then in addition to that would be through them, we have a chance now to work with their national staffs and the missions that they work with. And so that's been a highlight for me. So in the last 2 years, I've gone for an extra month each time to work with the young Khmer pastors and leaders, helping them to look through how do they develop their own programs that are indigenous and look and feel much more Cambodian. In May, I had a chance to go with John Tuggy, who is the head of a large relief and development organization, and we went up country to an area that was very primitive. It was the last stronghold of the Khmer Rouge, and his mission has been called to work with the villagers in this area. So I had a chance to be with about 60 of their staff and talking through what is the vision, how has God called them to move out of their own hurts and struggles and to see how they could minister to some of the people who literally were responsible for murdering their own relatives or friends. And just to see God's healing come through in both a practical way, but also in a very spiritual way. So it's been fun to see this now begin to move into the Cambodian church as well.
Our heart is to serve missionaries. It came out of our heart for the friends that we, in a way, lost in Japan. And so we just went to Cambodia at the invitation of long-term missionaries there, just to serve that population of missionaries. And again, the invitation came from friends in Japan who saw the need there and asked us to come. So we come at the invitation of a group of people who really have a corporate need for renewal and bonding. And so there are several other opportunities. We have been invited to a city in communist East Asia, and we're going to be checking out that possibility sometime in the next year, as well as in South Asia. We will be partnering with possibly a couple other divisions of ministry within CRM to be looking at a possibility working with some high-level national leaders in an area of South Asia. So who knows what God's going to be doing in the future, but more doors than we can possibly walk through at this point.